So, our first question is, are you happy with the outcome of this report, given that the majority of the conclusions seem to be recommendations rather than binding policy?
Happy would be the wrong word. What I do have a strong sense of is that it was right to ask Lord Kerslake to do this report. As difficult as it is to face up to the events of 22nd of May last year, it's my job to learn from that as quickly as I can so that we can help our services get better straight away. So it is a difficult process, I fully accept that, but I read the report and I think we were absolutely right to commission it.
And in terms of just kind of binding actions which you can pin down, a lot of the reports just seems to be suggestions. Is there anything that you can say that this is what we're doing to rectify some of those mistakes that were made?
Well, some of the changes have already been made. I think anticipating what the report would say and their own debriefs of the situation. You know, the police have made changes. So you know, this suggestion that on the night there was too much for some individuals to do and that their roles needed to be supported differently. I think that's accepted. Putting the force duty officer into the headquarters is something that is recognised, and that's also been done. I think Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Service have already amended some of their own protocols for events of this nature, but you know, we won't be able to answer everything today because the report asks some bigger questions, particularly of the fire service, and they will take time to work through.
And in terms of kind of what might not have been done, I think we're still seeing and hearing stories of families that are dealing with mental health issues and struggling to get access to the services they need for free. I mean, not much has been said about that today, so what kind of, as former health secretary, what do you kind of think about that?
I did touch on it in the press conference. You know, I find it unacceptable actually that anybody has had to struggle to get counselling or mental health support, because I remember being in the National Cobra meetings with ministers in the aftermath and hearing statements that everybody would get everything that they needed, and it's frustrating to hear that that hasn't proven to be true for some people. I think there's also the issue of financial support, because if it were not for the Greater Manchester public and their generosity, you know, would there have been any support for people whose lives were turned upside down? And no is the answer to that. So I think Lord Kerslake is right to ask the government and Parliament to think again about how victims of terrorism get the support that they need, because you know, if we all put ourselves in that position, it's the moment where you just don't want to have to be fighting or asking for anything. You need it to be there. No, you don't, and you can't afford to, because obviously people have long periods of time off work. So we as a country, we haven't got that right yet, and I think it's right that the government and Parliament do take these recommendations on board and improve that.
Another issue that was raised quite a lot in the report is disgraceful behaviour of the press following the Manchester attack, and this is obviously something that you've had quite a lot of experience in, particularly in the inquiry into Hillsborough. Do you think the recommendations in the report go far enough to curb some of this behaviour from happening in the future?
It is distressing, isn't it, to hear about it again, and you know, on days like today, you know, the media are quick to point at public services and hold them over the coals, but never quite so forthcoming when it comes to some of their own behaviour. And I think everyone needs to think about how we respond in these moments, because you know, the media don't live in a vacuum; they're part of our society. You know, we all have an obligation to treat people who go through this as decently as we possibly can. And you know, to hear of people doorstepping families, taking pictures through the glass when they were getting bad news, impersonating public services staff, it's not good. And you know, the promises of change have been made before, but I'm not sure they come through. I just think the media culture needs to change still in this country, and points have been made before, but we're still waiting there.
If that media, with that change of culture within the media, and obviously it's been recommended from the Leveson inquiry and stuff, do you think that there needs to be more regulations put in place, or do you think it comes from culture from within?
Well, I think the government were wrong to scrap what's called Leveson 2, which would have been a second stage of the Leveson report, looking particularly at how the police interact with with the media. So that's frustrating. But we are where we are. I think it is for IPSO, the regulatory body, to take this recommendation on board and to update the guidance. I mean, it's clear that things aren't good enough at the moment. You know, Bob Kerslake said himself, this can't be as good as it gets. There should be higher standards than this, and I think he's right to ask that question.